Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. Come to you twice a week to talk all things hockey. And Tom, we had a bombshell. That's what I'm going to call it. When the Carolina Hurricanes dropped an offer sheet on Kotkaniemi. Jesperi, who is perceived to have a lot of potential, but hasn't lived up to that yet. $6.1 million for 1 year. Kind of a shocking, and I'm going to call it entertaining development.
Yes, especially given that was it last year? The Montreal Canadiens made the offer sheet to Aho. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah.
2 years ago. So people always wonder, is there retaliation when these offer sheets are made? So an offer sheet, again, is a player is a free agent, as he's a restricted free agent. He's not happy with what he's getting from his current team. In this case, it was the Montreal Canadiens. So another team can come in and make an offer sheet. So there's compensation. In this case, because of where the salary is, it's a first and a third round draft pick. But people are hesitant. It seems people are hesitant to do these offer sheets. First of all, they rarely work. Rarely does the team get the player that they give the offer sheet to, and then people worry about retaliation. So Montreal went after Aho 2 years ago. Now Carolina is going after Montreal's player. So I don't know. Our good friend Don Waddell, we haven't spoken to him yet, so be interested to see what he has to say. But that's very interesting.
Well, and they made no bones about it that it was in retaliation, retribution for the Aho. They actually almost copied for their Twitter release, their press release, word for word, what Montreal had said when they signed Aho.
I didn't know that. I didn't see that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. I mean, there were a lot of people, myself included, that said the Canadiens, because their offer really wasn't all that hurtful. I mean, it was in the realm of reasonable, that they did the Carolina Hurricanes a favor, a solid, because then all they had to do was match. They ended up paying him a little over $8 million. I would say Aho is worth the contract. He's an elite player. In this case, there is a little bit of a stretch. Kotkaniemi has not yet reached his potential. And you're going to give him $6 million. Now, if I'm guessing Montreal was offering probably a bridge deal at 2.5, maybe. No more than 3.
Yeah.
So now they're sort of doubling. Now it's only 1 year, but now the qualifying offer next year becomes 6.7. Is that right? Yeah, 6.7 plus.
Yeah.
And and this really kind of speaks to why teams are careful when they make these offers, because you can hurt your own team as well.
Well, and you see it's 1 year, right? So Carolina's fear is that Montreal does not match, and now they are stuck with a pretty high contract for that player. And if it's a multi-year contract, it puts them in trouble with that. Well, not trouble, but it's not ideal for them. But with 1 year, it's like you're right. You're forcing Montreal to say, we can't really give up this player. We got to keep him at 6.1 million. But then that's right. That's where the next contract starts. It goes up from there. Or is it 10% goes up from there, right?
Right. So, and you could just not qualifying and just sort of view it as a rental. I mean, a lot will depend on how he performs this year.
Right.
I think Carolina would argue they think he's on the verge of becoming a great player and has really never gotten the opportunity. Right. But I think Montreal would say, well, we've given him chances, but he was a healthy scratch during the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Right.
A lot to unpack.
So the two options then: Montreal keeps the player, and then so now they're stuck with a player that, like you said, is probably like a $3 million player at most, is now a $6.1 million player. Now that also, I believe that also in like our cases of arbitration too, that hurts Montreal with other players as well, right? Because that's a comparable. I'm pretty sure you can use that as a comparable in arbitration cases. So that hurts a lot of ways. The second option now is Carolina gets the player. Montreal takes the first and third round draft pick. What do you think? Do you think Carolina? They'd have to obviously have thought it through. Said they may not match, and then we have the player. Are we happy with that player at that number or not?
Well, I would. I mean, let me put it this way: would you give up a first-round pick? Do you think it's going to be late in the first round? Carolina's a pretty good team, and a third rounder for Kotkaniemi. Like they tried to trade for him.
Yeah,
and I think I would. I think I would need to trade.
Yeah, and he fits into what they're doing there. I mean, right. Fast player and everything.
Well, he's Finnish. I'm sure there's a connection there with Aho and Teravainen.
Yeah. Just again, I got to point out here, Barry Shelley. What a fantastic human being he is. What an intelligent, tasteful person he is. Loved your Southern cooked fried chicken yesterday. Would have driven that. Sorry, Barry. I would let you know. There's leftovers though.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that, but I was open to do that at the.
Okay, we'll go back. We'll go back to
that. But we can talk about it now if you want to talk about it. Like I thought that was one of your just best looking meals, but now. You're a man that because of the way your workout schedule, you need 4,500 calories.
Yeah,
that wasn't anywhere close to.
No, I know.
How many pieces of chicken did you eat?
I actually came back and had some more. I made 2 batches like that, so I had 4 drumsticks.
Yeah, but that's still not many calories.
And the mashed potatoes, I put some butter in the mashed potatoes too. So, and then the coleslaw, didn't have a whole lot there, but yeah. But remember, that was in honor. So Ron Greshner lost his mother, and her favorite meal was the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Obviously, she couldn't have it too often, but she really enjoyed it. So we wanted to make it like the True Grit lifestyle in honor of her. So we, in the air fryer for the chicken. We didn't fry it, obviously, and then we had whole wheat flour and almond flour. We dipped it in, so it was a little healthier. But
you didn't try to decipher the Colonel's 7 herbs and spices.
I actually did look it up and had the recipe, and was thinking, I can't do it. I just got to put our own
calories in those spices.
Yes, well, you're right. With the spices, we were pretty good on the spices. Is the frying part, right? I mean, obviously they fried chicken. We didn't do it, yeah.
But I think if you had all the spices, it would have tasted a little bit like the Colonel.
Yep. No, it was pretty close. I had most of the spices already, so it was pretty close to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like a little mustard powder and paprika and all that kind of stuff, and garlic powder. So
yeah,
that's good.
I can't imagine your coleslaw was as sweet as the Kentucky Fried.
Well, yeah, right. I actually had the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe for the coleslaw as well. I used monk fruit sweetener instead of sugar. Okay. And avocado mayonnaise instead of regular mayonnaise. So it's a little healthy, but it was good. It was nice.
Yeah, yeah. No, I thought it looked great, and that's the one thing. Of all the things you can do in the air fryer, I think chicken is one of the better ones.
Yes,
pretty much everything. When we were at the lake house for the family outing, my son made a chicken and biscuits for breakfast one morning.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and did it in the air fryer, and it was just outstanding.
He made the biscuits in the air fryer too? No.
No. But he is like a superb biscuit maker.
Is that right? Oh.
Yeah, he's just kind of got it down. And
does he use just regular old Bisquick or?
Oh no. He's got all the kinds of flour out and the right yeast, and it's they're right from scratch. So
okay, nice. Yeah. Do you have honey with your biscuits?
Yeah, especially his kids have honey. My grandkids. Chicken and biscuit every once in a while, not very often they have that.
And so what kind of chicken? How do you do the chicken?
He does thighs, boneless thighs. And then he has some kind of coating of, it could be almond flour as well, because I know we have that. Puts them in there and then just serves them on one of his flaky biscuits. And boy,
wow,
it was outstanding.
That sounds good. Wow.
Yeah, the funny part was he was, for when you're doing a breakfast chicken thing, you're just looking to have one thigh per biscuit per family. You're just having a breakfast sandwich. And he didn't count on the fact that my youngest grandchild, which is not his daughter, but my daughter's daughter, even though she's 1.5, she ate a whole biscuit and a whole piece of chicken.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah. So we ended up being a chicken short because he hadn't counted on the fact that a 1.5-year-old could do that. So, yeah.
That's funny. Now, is the chicken for breakfast some kind of a tradition with you guys? Or?
No, it's just a Southern thing that he kind of picked up, and he did it one time for his kids, and they liked it. And you probably remember when your kids were whatever your kids like and do, you just want to do it. It's always all about the kids in our house. Yeah. So. Just getting back to, I don't know, I think they gotta. I mean, he was the third overall pick. I feel like you got to try to keep him. I don't think we know whether he's going to be the player they thought he was.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's it's a bit of a hardship, but you could say to him, look, we'll qualify you or whatever, but let's work on a long-term deal, and give them, like, they're gonna another one of their options is, and I think they're really going to explore this, is, okay, what if we take that first and third and see what we can get in the marketplace? There is an intriguing center. Elliot Friedman floated this rumor, and I think it makes perfect sense to me that they'd go after Dvorak and in Arizona. And what are they looking for in Arizona? But first-round picks, draft picks. Yeah. And Dvorak's a real interesting player. Like, he's coming off a really good season. Seems to me he had 18 or 19 goals last year in a 56-game season, so that's like a 25-goal season. He's tied up into a 4-year deal. I think 4 and change, 4.25, 4.5, somewhere in there. Interesting. So I think that's he doesn't have quite the. I think what you get with him. I believe that close to 50% of his goals last year, Dvorak's, was on the power play.
But Arizona, I hear you. I hear about the trade, but from Arizona's side, who are you gonna have playing on the team anymore?
I agree. I mean, I was really. I mean, I have been a supporter, if I could use that term, but I really wanted to see whether we can make this work in Arizona, because I don't really think we know. Yeah. And I wanted them to, kind of turn the corner, but they lost me when they traded Connor Garland.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can justify that you're making an effort to get this franchise turned around when you trade a player like that, because the only reason I could see to trade him is they didn't like his earning potential. So,
wow, geez, if you're a fan trying to sell season tickets there now, those poor people that are working for the Coyotes trying to sell season seats, their arena deal's done at the end of the season, and then this coming season, all these players are gone. They didn't make playoffs last year. Their old GM screwed things up, so they didn't have first round draft picks and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just every time we turn around, and Mr. Bettman, the commissioner of the league, has come out and said the team's not moving from the Phoenix, Arizona area. But man, I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't trade him. I mean, if you're going to trade him, if you're going to trade Dvorak, who's next? Clayton Keller. I know. And then, I don't know. But if I was Montreal, I think I would keep him and say, let's see where we're at. Yeah.
It's an interesting theory, though, if they do not keep him, take the draft picks and then try to flip it and get something else. If they made that trade for Dvorak, they've actually improved their team, right? And a cheaper price of the $6.1 million, too.
Well, and they've at least got cost certainty.
Yep.
You know you're going to have Dvorak for 4 seasons. So,
yep.
But if I was Arizona, seeing that Montreal is in a bind, I'd say a first and a second and your third leading prospect.
Yeah.
I mean, I would up the ante a little bit. I mean, Dvorak is coming off a really good season.
Yeah.
So, and Kotkaniemi is not. Like, what did he have? 20 points last year? 20-something?
Yeah. And then be a scratch in the playoff, being a healthy scratch in the playoffs like that, too. Those important games, you're not even part of the team.
Yeah, and, I think Carolina believes that he's going to arrive next season, but, he hasn't yet.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens now? So clearly, and I didn't see this, but obviously you did. So Carolina now clearly has retaliated against the offer sheet from 2 years ago that Montreal gave to Aho. So now, what does Montreal do? Montreal just can't sit there and not retaliate. Are they going to make what happens down the road? And that's the problem I have with Carolina doing this. Is that, okay? So now it's like two tough guys standing there fighting. The one guy just punched you in the head, so you punched him back. The fight doesn't end then, right? It still goes on down the road. I
mean, they've even scored. I mean,
I guess you're right. Yeah, I'm sure Carolina's owner had a lot to do with that, right? I mean, that Donnie doesn't do that move unless he's. And in fact, maybe it's the owner that really wanted.
Oh, that's my guess. Don't you think this is Tom Dundon? Yeah. And to be honest, people, I know the Montreal columnist Jack Todd wrote a very entertaining column about this, and I know our good friend Larry Brooks um, basically called the Canes a dysfunctional organization, and called them the Candy Canes. The Candy Canes, I think he called them.
Really? Where's so I thought they're being. I think they're on the up and up now. I think they're getting better and better.
Well, I wasn't as bothered by it as other people seem to be. I found the whole thing entertaining. I mean, you accurately illustrated when you were talking about, the reason nobody does these offer sheets is they don't work.
Yeah.
First of all, they always match. Plus, it's hard to come in at the right number because you can't afford to put your own cap situation at risk in doing it. And that's why I looked this up. There's been 37 of these, and more than 60% of the teams have matched. And that includes some that were kind of thrown out because they weren't right. And there were some lesser players that, there was no big deal that didn't accept. But in the last 11 of these, and that's been since 1998, there's been 11 of them, and this is the 11th, and 9 of the 10 the people have matched. So, it's for, you go through all this trouble, you draw up contracts, you get the lawyers involved, you spend hours trying to come up with the right number, and then they don't work, so.
And then you got to work with these GMs. So the GM now is mad at you.
Right. So, and you open yourself up to retribution. Now, like this offer, we can't argue hurts, makes it tougher on Montreal than Montreal made it on Carolina when they gave the opportunity to House. Because, I think my guess was the Carolina was in the $7 million range for Aho, and then they just put him in the $8 million range. That's what I believe happened. But in this case, I think they've more than doubled. But, what makes it interesting and entertaining is the fact it's only 1 year. But adding another layer to that is the fact that, but then you got to qualify him at that amount.
Yeah, I know.
So, or he walks away. And, maybe that's what the way the Carolina sees it. If he turns out he gets 20 points again and he's not making any progress, we just say sayonara. It's no different than giving up a first-round pick as a 1-year rental. Yeah. We've seen that happen at the trade deadline. You give up you're picking late, and you give up that first rounder, you get a 1-year player, and then he's gone. So maybe that's what
you're right. You're right on that. I guess I know. I just look at it and go, okay, so you got to make trades down the road too, right? So now you've eliminated one team. I know there's 30 other teams other than yourself in Montreal, and then from Montreal's side, other than themselves in Carolina too. But it's just that now you really, I don't know. I just feel like
you're competing. It's not a fraternity. We're not a fraternity house where we're holding parties every Saturday night.
Yeah, you're right.
We're competing against one another.
Yeah. Well, here are Brian Dowd, one of our listeners here. He's got, and this was, I saw something that Montreal doesn't match, and it sets the stage for a trade for Eichel.
Well, I mean, we know Bergevin and Pat Brisson, his new agent, are friends.
Yes. Oh, that's so we're going to touch on that. So Jack Eichel switched agents. He had guys out of Boston. I can't remember who they were. And I know them a little. They're decent guys. I mean, as far as number of players, but Pat Brisson was CAA. So when I worked with IMG, Mr. McCormick, who had started IMG, he passed away, and then they sold off the team sport division, and it became CAA. So all the agents that came in after me and Mark Barnett, they were with IMG, and then they went over to CAA. So that's basically all the IMG guys. But that's interesting. So here's the case too. So when a player, now what's supposed to have happened, it doesn't always happen, is when a player hires an agent, he has to have the player and the agent sign a standard player agent contract. It's between the player and the agent. You cannot change the language of it. You can't do anything to it. It's the player association puts it in place, and you cannot change the language. Now, so even if you get fired as the agent, so in Eichel's case, what did you have? Like, you got 5 years left in his contract or 4 years left in his contract? I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Right. So that agent, his old agent, will get paid. As long as they sign that contract, that old agent will get paid even though he's fired because he negotiated that contract. There's some cases, though, where the players and the agents did not sign the contract, and then there's no agreement between them. Therefore, he wouldn't get paid. And the Players Association backs up the agents on that as well because they don't want disputes between the players and the agents. So now the new agent comes in, it's interesting. Either he's working for free or he's tagging on another point or two for his work. So be interested to see what happens. So Pat Brisson, though, I mean, he's really good friends. He came to LA. He was really good friends with Luc Robitaille when he played, and now is president of the team. And Pat's a very well respected guy too. So I would assume Pat's going to have a pretty good relationship with. Well, obviously not with the GM in Buffalo now because he's so young or so new to the job. But he actually is very good friends with Bergeron in Montreal. So,
but his son is signed with Vegas, so he has. Pat Brisson is the first pick of Vegas.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's a connection there too, and of course Vegas supposedly has been interested in Eichel as well. So. As the world turns.
That's right. Thanks, Brian. Peter Fish and Donatelli. Wasn't Donatelli a turtle? Ninja Turtle?
Ninja Turtle, yeah. Ninja Turtle. But a fine ninja and a great agent. So
yes, that's right.
But the one thing about Pat Brisson is he's a facilitator. He's a guy that gets things done.
Yeah,
he knows everybody. He's, as you mentioned, well respected. Yeah. And I think he's got sort of a mediator type personality.
Yep. Very true.
I think he can. I think bring both sides closer. If I had to guess, you know what I mean. And that's just a guess, but I'd say, if anybody can bring it all together, I think it would be Pat. I mean, there are other guys who could do it too, but I think Pat has that skill set of being persuasive and getting people, but who knows? I mean, the Sabres have been dug in. Jack's been dug in. Maybe it doesn't matter.
And there is some times where the agents can cause problems there too, right? Where they come in and they're trying to be heavy-handed. They think they've got all the cards because it's Jack Eichel. He's the number one player in the organization, and they maybe act in a way that the GM and the owner doesn't like, and maybe that's part of the issue, right? So. That you're right. I think Pat Brisson, his reputation, he is well respected. He's that smooth kind of French guy, and he's good. I think you're right. I hope something gets done here too, because I mean, again, I don't know all the details, and I'm not trying to blame Fish and Donatelli, the Ninja Turtle, on this because I don't know all the details. But you kind of and I had situations too where there's conflicts, but you try to avoid those things, especially try to avoid them publicly. So, but it's not always possible. So.
Yeah. But, just getting back to the whole, offer sheet, I mean, they have some, the deal is that they're going to be eating into Shea Weber's long-term IR money.
Yeah.
And they also have Byron, who's going to be on that as well. He's going to be, he's had hip surgery, so he's going to be on extended. Yeah. So they'll have a little money to play with. And, but, they got to be working as well to, improve their team. Like they've lost Shea Weber, and that's a major loss. And
Corey Perry played well for him, and he's gone now to Tampa.
Dano has gone off to seek his fortune as perhaps the number 2 center in LA. And he was vital to their playoff run. So there's a little bit of pressure on Bergevin to get this together. And this never gets talked about. It gets talked about more in football than it does here, but you're responsible for your salary cap, and you got to put yourself in a position so you don't get stuck in situations like this.
Absolutely.
So,
and you think of the pressure on Bergeron. You're right. He was under some heat before they went to the finals last year. So as far as the play, but you got to say to yourself, I like Montreal. I do. I'm a huge fan of Carey Price, Shea Weber, and I think Bergeron's doing a great job. But they go to the finals this year. They're also a team that may not even make the playoffs next year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make the playoffs, and not because there's something wrong with them. It's just, it was an exceptional year last year. So,
and one thing we should remind everybody, we're back to the normal divisions. So Carolina and Montreal are not in the same division as they were last year. So,
they weren't in the same division last year, right? Carolina, Montreal.
Yeah, they were because they were.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they moved.
No, there was a Canadian division. Sorry.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. You're right. All Canadian teams went in one division, and Carolina went over. Actually, probably you could make an argument they replaced Montreal in that. What was formerly the Atlantic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So,
Susan's asked the question. Susan a little late here too. I'm a little disappointed in her. Sorry, joining late. There's no Susan. There's expectations for you. Okay. Don't know if you discussed the Olympics. Reports seem to think they will be going. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I do. I saw somebody put out there today a great, not a great tweet, but one that, he says, didn't we all believe all along they were going to go? Players want to go. I've mentioned that a number of times. Gary Bettman has agreed to allow them to go. He's a guy that tries to live by his word. Right. So he's not going to back out of that if there's a way possible. And they were working as soon as the IHF agreed to pay their insurance and the COVID insurance as well. Right. I thought that was the last hurdle. Now there are other issues, but I think they were all stuff that could be.
So why do the Olympics? What does the IOC want the NHL players there so badly?
They like the the prestige of having the world's greatest hockey players, even though
does it help with their TV revenue as well? Like
I would assume it does, but I don't really know. I mean, they're such a billions of dollar industry, although the ratings were down for the summer games.
Yeah.
They just want the best of the best, and the hockey is a big driver at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Where I don't think we're going to have any crowds, so it's not going to be attendance. Although attendance is not a big thing anyway. They're played in very small venues, and oftentimes you don't even see half the seats filled up at Olympics.
Yeah.
So, but it's a big deal. They want the top players, and I know the IHF, the International Ice Hockey Federation, always wants the NHL players to be there because they want to showcase their event. And I've mentioned this before. It really irritates diehard hockey fans when I say it, but the Olympics is so big compared to our little sport. Our sport's tiny compared to the Olympics, just in terms of what they draw on. I mean, just think about it. Everybody in the world pays attention to the Olympics. And they pay it's the one time when they pay attention to sports that they normally don't care about.
Yeah, that's the part that gets so I like watching where they ski and then do the shooting, whatever that is, like that cross country ski shoot. Like I've never watched that any other time, but I do during the Olympics. No. And that's what I'm just thinking. Like I guess I'm not in the majority here clearly, but I just don't not having the pro players there. To me, I like it better. It's just these unknown guys. I have these stories about these people and how the training they've done, where they've come from, the dreams to make it to the Olympics. I don't know. It seems like it's counter Olympic to me, but the pro players are. But
why everybody else has their best athletes there, best skiers in the world are there, the best.
Yeah, well, that's true. You're right. No, that's true. I guess they're pro skiers. You're right. That's a good point, right? The skiers
they make. I mean, they don't make money. Well, probably the top ones make.
You think like a Lindsey Vonn, right? I mean, she obviously must make some decent money.
Yeah, and they're there. The top figure skaters are. They're going to all sign.
Did Lindsey Vonn and PK Subban ever get married, or they were just engaged, right? Didn't they?
Yeah, I don't. Are they even still dating? I have no
idea.
No,
they're not. They broke up now. So yeah. So never got married. Okay.
Yeah, I don't keep track of that the way you do.
So they're not together anymore. So let's speculate. What do you think happened there? You think he messed up, or what?
I would say clash of careers.
Clash of careers.
Yeah,
you kind of wonder, were they together to help each other's careers more? Was it really true love, or what? I mean,
I'm sure it starts out with true infatuation. So that doesn't that how they all start out?
Well, speaking of not true love. And we kind of debated whether we want to dignify this or not, but now Evander Kane is claiming that his wife hit him, so he's got a restraining order against her.
Yeah. I don't know what to believe there, but it's hard for me to believe that. I mean, did he go into court and tell the judge, I'm afraid for my safety?
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I try to be careful with that kind of stuff, but. I mean, to me, this is an NHL hockey player and a physical, tough NHL hockey player.
And a big guy.
Yeah. And walking in and saying, she hit me.
Yeah.
Well,
and I mean, you basically have to testify to the fact that, you fear for your safety if you want a restraining order.
Right.
So, and the problem I have with it is that, there are women out there who really need these orders.
Oh, yes.
So, and it seems to me he's occupying the court's time when they could probably.
Yeah, you know what? That's an excellent point. Excellent point. You're right.
I getting back to it, I think we are going to go to the Olympics, and I think once we get there, I mean, I think you watch the Olympics. I mean, do you not watch it when?
I do. No, I still do. I guess I just really enjoy those, like I mentioned, like I don't know why I point that out, but this cross-country skiing and the shooting, they do those little vignettes on the athletes from Finland and all where they came from and how hard they worked to get there. I just like that kind of feel. And I think you'd have the same thing with hockey players too. I mean, you look back to the '80 Olympics and how great that was. And I guess it wouldn't have been that great if the NHL players were there, right? I mean,
I ended up last year. I mean, the last Olympics I covered them. I was there in Korea, and I thought I was gonna, get caught in the romance of the non-NHL players, but it really wasn't as exciting. I mean, to even think back to 2014 when you have the Oshie, shootout and
true.
And the Russian team and Putin and. Ovechkin, there was, like I remember just getting so many questions from readers about Ovechkin because again, there's so many of them that don't pay any attention. I remember 2010 when Ryan Miller was so good for the U.S. Every day we would get questions at USA Today about where did Ryan Miller come from? Like who does he play for? Like what? They just were so curious about that.
True. And I guess if you think back to the Vancouver Olympics where Canada won, those games. I mean, that was pretty.
Yeah, I mean that Crosby goal was as memorable. Yeah. I did Doc Emrick's book, and as we've talked about before, and that's one of Doc's greatest memories is calling that goal, just because it was And we're going to remember that. I think the puck hit an official, as I recall. And I know Ryan Jerome might have bounced off Jerome McGinley's skate.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I can't remember exactly how it went, but
speaking of Doc Emrick, I was at a golf tournament a couple weeks ago now, and Kenny Albert was there. Yeah. One of the nicest and most talented guys. I give him a hard time because he could do any sport. We're laughing because. With the Olympics, he did some other sport. I think it was volleyball or something. It was the first time he'd done volleyball. So we're just laughing about all the different sports he's done with us, hockey, football, baseball, whatever. He's a real gentleman too. He's a great guy.
Oh, he's a class guy and he's a pro's pro.
Yeah.
I mean, the Doc Emrick obviously used to do water polo at the Olympics.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did water polo. His first year, I believe Pierre McGuire was his analyst.
Oh, is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's how it was. Somehow they just thought, well, it's similar to hockey. It's by the way, that's a nasty sport.
I heard that. Yes.
What goes on below the water line is, you wouldn't want to see that. There's some. I think you would have been good in that sport. So I think you would have been good. You'd be good below the water.
The dirt, the cheap shots, and everything. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. What's going on underwater? That's where Laidlaw excels.
So, here's a good point by Susan. She's coming back now. She's redeeming herself. I watch with trepidation. I like that word. I'm more concerned that any Ranger player competing comes back healthy.
I mean that's a legitimate concern, and that's one of the many. I mean, like the list of grievances. I mean, they belong that the owners have about the Olympics. Yeah. We could bring them out on Festivus, the old Seinfeld Day of Grievances going on because there are many. There are many. The startup is the restart up is hard on some teams. They lose some of their fans. People find other things to do. But number one on that list is the fear of injury of a star player on a contending team. And
God forbid Connor McDavid gets hurt. Montreal's a contender. Edmonton's a contender, and he gets hurt.
Well, even next year, I mean, I have the Rangers. I've already had to do for a couple of sites. My picks, and I've got the Rangers. Competing with, Washington.
Pittsburgh.
No, I got actually Pittsburgh below them. I expect Pittsburgh to do something else because you all we have to go on right now is what they've done, and Pittsburgh hasn't done anything. All they've done is subtracted.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't think they've done anything.
Goaltending is still an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the Islanders up there. I got the Flyers. Like, I loved what the Flyers have done this offseason.
Yeah.
I like.
I'm with you. I love what they've done. I still need to see them play, though. Because something was so wrong last year. Okay.
Well, they don't. They don't allow us to watch them play before we make our guesses. I don't know if you knew that, but
I should get some special treatment, though. I should be allowed.
Yeah. You should be allowed to watch 10, 15 games and go back. Right. Here's my preseason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Certain teams. The Flyers are one of those teams. Yeah.
Well, and there's nothing worse. I know we did Hockey Buzz, and Eklund introduced me as a guy who absolutely hates preseason predictions, and I really do, because they're silly. Like.
Really, you don't like them?
No, I mean, I do them because it's part of my job.
But really, you don't like them. So you don't think they're.
I just think it's like you don't really know. Like fans look at us like we spend so much time in it. We know, but we don't. We're just guessing.
Well, we go based on last year too, right? I mean,
we do, and we because we live in this world. We really do. We live in the world, and we talk to people. Right. Maybe our guesses are a little more educated, but you're still guessing. You don't know how the rookies are going to do, how they're going to fit in, what's the chemistry going to be like.
So I'm going to disagree with you. So we know now that Tampa Bay, the Colorado Avalanche, Vegas, and let me give some Boston Bruins are going to be contenders for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
right. And then we know Carolina. We know that Arizona will not be a contender to even be in the NHL soon if they keep doing what they're doing. Buffalo's going to have a hard time again. So we know. I mean, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, we know some generalities, but we know. We don't know. What you really want to know, if you're a fan, is the surprises, right. And those is what we'd have to guess about.
That's true. Like, nobody would have predicted Montreal would have gone to the finals.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And we have too many of those, unfortunately, because we have a parity league. And, there are certain teams where the direction they're going to go depends greatly on a lot of factors that we have to guess about. And some of it is luck. Yeah. So
injuries, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like Florida. Like, I love Florida. I'm going to pick them high. I'm really bullish on that team. But what if Spencer Knight, ends up like Carter Hart, and he just has an off year. So now they're on Bobrovsky, and we don't quite know what we're going to get with Bobrovsky.
Right. That's my problem with Philadelphia too. Carter Hart. Like, what do they have in him, really?
Well, yeah, and we just don't know. Like, Carter Hart has an incredible amount of talent, but we don't really know. Like, I think he'll be fine this year. Right. I think that the bringing in the 3 veteran defensemen that they did, it's got to make you. I mean, if you're in net and you see, you got a big guy and Ristolainen, and you got Ryan Ellis, who's a competitive son of a gun, and Keith Yandel, who's a gifted offensive version, and there's addition from subtraction there. Gostisbehere is no longer a problem. He's gone. Voracek is replaced, in my opinion, by a better hockey player in Atkinson. So
very true. I agree with that. Oh, so I don't know. I'm thinking of lunch right now. Should I have leftover chicken and mashed potatoes and coleslaw? What are we thinking?
For sure. Chicken.
But here's the question: do you do it in the microwave? Obviously, the mashed potatoes can go in the microwave. Chicken should go microwave or air fryer again.
My wife just said air fryer.
TV heat. Yeah. Oh, did your wife see my meal yesterday?
I don't know whether she did. Did you see it? She did not. So
she's just not paying attention anymore to my
No,
meals.
You know what? And since you have such a discerning Facebook, like, somebody's got to sacrifice and get off your list in order for someone else to get on. Yeah. That's how my wife got on. You should, she may have to be cut if she doesn't. She said no.
You know what? I never thought of that, but I'm gonna have to put a lot of thought. I wouldn't just do it like randomly, but if you brought it up, you think I should cut her?
Well, no, I wouldn't cut her, but I'm just saying, you really do. Like, you have a limit. You have 5,000 people, and remember the first time my wife tried to get on, you were over the limit. So they wouldn't let her come on because you had too many friends, which is not surprising. And now she's on, but she doesn't seem to always check in on your cooking.
That's a good point. You know what? And there are people that want to get on there, and I feel bad for those people.
Yeah.
And they would probably pay attention to the meal and everything and comment on it and tell me how wonderful it was. And okay, I'll have to think about that. But it is your wife. It is your wife, though. So that's I have a ton of respect for her.
You get points for that. Yeah.
Right. And then you think of the respect factor I have for her. I mean, she can go out and cut the lawn, cook meals, fix the furnace.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. There's no.
That's a tough decision.
Yeah, she knows a lot about a lot of different things. So
maybe I should ask. Maybe I'll have to do a video here and ask followers what they think. Should and get some opinions from people.
Wow, now it's getting a little heavy duty.
Right.
Oh God. Well, we've been on a long time. I'm not sure what we resolved today, other than the fact that I don't always enjoy making preseason predictions, but I'm always happy to do them. It comes with the turf.
We've figured out that Evander Kane should not have wasted the court's time with his frivolous concerns.
Yeah, we're not speaking to whether they're true or false. We're just speaking to the fact that even if they were true, does he really need a restraining order?
Exactly. Yep.
So anyway, we appreciate you listening. If you want to read me, I'm at HockeyBuzz.com and DetroitHockeyNow.com.
And if you want to listen to the radio version of this show again, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. Again, it's radio.co at 365 Sports. We'll see everybody on Wednesday.